Do you have an all-star HR team? You may feel your team is already performing at a high level, but let's take a closer look. Would your company's top leaders and employees agree that your HR team are operating at a high level? Are team members able to influence top executives on difficult topics? Are team members business and strategy focused on the challenges the organization is facing? Does the executive team trust your direct reports as advisors on human capital issues? If you can answer yes to these questions, you have built an outstanding team. If you feel there is room for improvement, Strategy Focused Group can create a custom development program to elevate the quality of your HR team. Please email us at info@strategyfocusedgroup.com.
Good morning, good evening, depending upon what part of the world you're in. If it's Friday, it's the CEO series where we explore career journeys, the trajectory, the detours, right, left, U-turns along the way. Our guest today is Denise Spatafora, who's the founder of BeClear Inc., a global leadership and consulting company renowned for its transformative work with CEOs, startups, VCs, the whole piece. The BeClear Method, her proprietary process for leadership clarity and alignment, has been adopted by organizations Google, Citibank, Condé, Ogilvy, on and on. A serial entrepreneur, conflict resolution expert, and published author. We need to talk about that book. She has shaped leaders and teams worldwide through her dynamic work and coaching, offsite strategic advisory work. And with that, I say welcome. Glad to have you on the show.
Pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
So walk us through that career journey, going from starting out to where you are today. How did you build the brand?
Well, I'll give you the short version and you can ask me anything you like. How about that? Let's see. I started my first business in New York when I was 23, and that was an event design company. And it was, at that time, we used events the way we use social media now.
Okay.
Right? And it was an incredible time in the 90s in New York. So it was a way to get messages out, brand, give exposure. And I really had the opportunity to do incredible things. And I say this very humbly. Did the relaunch of Elle magazine in Central Park. Did the opening night of New York City Ballet for 1,000 people, did Brooke Astor's 90th birthday, worked with Clive Davis on 5 of his Grammy parties. It was really an extraordinary experience. And thank God I was young and dumb and didn't care how like wealthy, famous, whatever. It was more about connecting and translating what these leaders and, people wanted to do, really influencers at the time and really cutting edge at the time, what they wanted to do with that event in the world. Right. And so I learned a lot about people's businesses and their struggles and what they were trying to do. And then the natural outcome of that was the event itself, which was really extraordinary.
Yeah.
So I feel really blessed to have had that time. And it was a very special time in New York, highly creative. I know you were around at that time.
Yeah.
And so, we worked with Martha and it was really, really special. So I did that for a really long time. I had people who worked for me and an incredible studio downtown in the West Village. And then again, the short version is I had done so many events and it was really extraordinary and I felt so grateful, but I felt like it was time to like parlay what I was getting into something else.
Yeah.
And people kind of thought I was crazy for considering selling the business at the time because we were doing so well.
Yeah.
And again, like I was on TV and magazines, It was great. It was a really great time.
Yeah.
But I felt like I wanted to use this experience in new ways, because what was I going to do? One more event, which was great, and I don't want to, poo-poo that at all because I feel so grateful that I had all that. But it was time. So I sold that business. I made myself take 6 months off. And I had never done that. My parents were born and raised in Italy. I've been working since I was 13 years old. We do not take time off.
Yeah.
But I forced myself to not accept any opportunity, but to just explore, what did I really want? What did I really need during that time? And that was really a gift. And it was very, it's very funny when you do that and you make that commitment. Of course, a million things come your way. Right. And so I had gone to lunch with one of my past clients. And in the conversation over lunch, for literally 2 hours, they spoke about their business and went on and on and on. And I was just so happy to be having a beautiful meal at Bobby Flay's restaurant. And ironically, I had done an event at the James Beard home. And Bobby Flay, it was just when he had been coming on the scene as a chef. So it's been great to watch that trajectory. So I was just so happy to be at that meal, not responsible for anything. So I was just happy to listen, And at the end of that conversation, the person said to me, what do you think? And I said, it's not what I think, it's what I hear. What I hear is that you're miserable and you're treating your people terribly, and you're treating them terribly. But it's the reality is that you want to do something different. You want to sell this business and you want to go off into this other, and this person was doing incredibly well. This is a multi-million-dollar company. And I said, and you want to go do something else, but you're paralyzed. And they're like, that's exactly right. And I was like, okay. And they're like, okay, I want to hire you. I'm like, hire me to do what? And this is at a time where there was no coaching. All there was McKinsey in New York. Yeah. Right. And that's it. There was no coaching. There was no executive coaching. There was no business model for this. Right. And so I really was making it up. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to take on this project. So the short version is I sold that company for them and worked with them to take care of all their people, clean up all those relationships, and then go into their next venture. And that's how I began and launched what I've been doing for a very long time. Wow. So the short version of what I've been doing is I fix and build companies, private and public, and I also deal with the dynamics in those companies. So that's the short version, but there's a very long story there.
I know there's a long story behind it. You know what I was amazed at as you were walking through that? Yeah. You came up, you said it's time. I say it's time. And sometimes when you're working in a situation, whether it's a job you have or the company is not working out, there's something that comes through and says, it's time.
That's right.
And you listen to that and you were able to move beyond that. But so many times people have been hearing it's time and they still continue to do it. They hate Monday mornings. They enjoy Fridays and they put themselves back through it again on Monday mornings.
Yeah, it definitely is a risk, but the risk for me outweighed the misery.
Okay.
Or the stagnance, of it. And as I said, I had a lot of people around me, really wonderful people who were like, what are you doing? You're on a trajectory. But you do know when you need something else, or when you want to grow, or you want to build something, or you want to parlay your creativity in new ways. So yeah, go ahead.
No, you're finished. You're finished.
No, that's it.
No, that's it. I went through the same thing. You mentioned when I was reading through your stuff and I saw Ogilvy and I'm thinking, the publishing industry was hot.
Oh, yes.
It was absolutely hot. Timing, all of my friends, because we were all in the publishing business, but I was at Martha's for 9+ years, but I knew it was time.
Yeah.
And I quit and I did not have a job, but I quit and I did the same thing. I took 6 months off just to figure out. I did. But the challenge from my side was it was right at the 2007, 2008 financial calamity. And that was it kind of heaped a whole lot of other pressures on me because I figured I could just bounce back after 4, 5, 6 months. And it wasn't that easy.
Right. But doesn't that speak to really your resilience and your creativity and what you're now doing and what you've done? It's really quite amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is. But so how do you had lunch with this client? I say client, and you were able to hear what they were talking through. You had been through it. You were able to guide them. I'm
Yeah.
sure people that are listening in, we have people listeners from across the globe that are listening in, they have a job and it's not working out. They could have a company they're struggling with. What advice would you offer to them if they're in the same kind of intersection that we've been to and said, okay, left, right, straight ahead, let me go.
Well, look, there are so many different scenarios
Yeah.
of where people are. So this is a huge generalization.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when you feel, not to be so severe, but empty.
Yeah.
And this is truly a short life, and that's not a cliche.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It really isn't. We've all experienced loss, being a little older and what have you. And so I think it's taking a very hard look.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want and what do you need truly?
Mm-hmm.
And of course we have bills and we have all those things. So it's like, I'm not.
Realities.
Yeah, we have a reality. So it's like, on the one hand, I've heard people, just take the leap and just, come on, let's be real. Let's be real that we have to run 2 tracks at one time. So what I would say to people that are in that position is I have this thing about running 2 tracks at one time. And what I mean by that is stay in your current position while if you need that security and you can't take the leap at that time, keep your peace of mind by having that.
Mm-hmm.
And then run a second track, which is really being in an inquiry for yourself.
Yeah.
Look at your network. Think about your people around you. I know that we're in the world of AI. I use AI. I'm very steeped in it. I get it. And there is nothing that replaces human relationships.
Yes.
I think we forget that we have built incredible relationships over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And so to tap into those, to have conversations with people, to have inquiries, to go investigate for yourself and run that second track until you start to see clearly when you can take that leap and what will feel right. And then sometimes you're just going to have to say,
I have a better phrase for that, but I won't. It's an adult program,
I was going to say, I can't say what I wanted to say right about now, but okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about. So let me ask you this. How did you, as you were going through that, did you ever have any moments of self-doubt? And, I say that because a young lady sent me a long note yesterday, gym friend here in the New York area. And she walked out of her job yesterday. She said, because she just could not take it. And the culture was bad. So I asked her, how long have you been dealing with that? She says for 5 years.
Wow.
5 years she had been going through knowing that this was not right. But she finally got the courage yesterday to just say, you know what, I'm done. And she got her stuff and she walked out.
Wow. Good for her.
Yeah.
That must be a relief in a way.
But as I'm reading through this, I'm like, well, she's letting it out. And I said, you know what? It's a lot to cover here in messaging. Let's do coffee. Let's do coffee at the gym, and we'll just talk this through. I said, but I think you did the right thing. And she said, that means so much. I think you did the right thing because you've been struggling with this for 5 years. She's been there 11 years, but the last 5 have been absolutely horrible. And she finally got the courage to walk away from it.
God bless her that she lasted 5.
Yeah.
I would never have made it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I remember I had I graduated from UCLA and I had this great job at Kodak in Manhattan. They moved me from Los Angeles to Manhattan. Phenomenal people, phenomenal job. And I was, excuse me, I was doing really well there, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. It just wasn't my playground is what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
But for her, she's going to have some decompressing time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be, she's going to have to decompress a bit.
Yeah. So how did you stay grounded? You took the 6 months off, got some clarity.
Yep.
And you, by happenstance, having lunch and something just kind of popped up and I ran into this project. How did you stay grounded during that period? Because you were able to take that seed and nurture it, and you were able to build beyond that.
It's a great question. I mean, I have a variety of things that I do and that I've kind of evolved over time. I meditate. I've been meditating since I was in my 20s. And it's part of what I do to to be sane
Yeah.
in this lovely world we're living in.
Yeah.
No, but I do meditate, I pray, I write. I do a variety of things to stay super grounded about what I know. This again sounds so cliche, but what is really important?
Yeah.
Like, what's important? Everyone is upset these days and what have you. And like, let's get some perspective.
Yeah.
Let's stay grounded and keep perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a long way to answer your question. And then I love to travel. Travel always gives me perspective.
Oh, I this may sound crazy. I love I love airports out of the US. I
Right.
love Dubai airport. I love Singapore's airport that I can
Beautiful.
get three
Singapore's airport is beautiful.
Oh my God, waterfall park, and
Yeah.
I'm the 3 hour ahead of time person, and I
Mhm.
can sit there. I can totally relax on a flight inside the airport in the lounge before I get on the flight. To me, that's like I can't wait for this. This is like Christmas time when I get my ticket and I go through that process.
Absolutely. I
So
completely get that.
yeah. So my question coming back to you, as you were going through your trajectory, what are some challenging moments you've had, and how did you kind of navigate that?
Oh my gosh. Well, there's so many challenging moments. I
Yeah.
mean, because I've been running my own business my whole life, it's not like one day I woke up and said, "Oh, I want to be an entrepreneur."
Yeah.
I mean, like that's what people,
Yeah.
say, right? No, it was just like literally that is my spirit. That is who I am.
Yeah.
And, I create what have you. And what comes with that is, various things that you have to do, hustling for business, getting really creative. You can't get stopped. Well, you could get stopped, but I chose not to get
Mhm.
stopped when you don't see an avenue for how you're going to create the next level
Mhm.
of what you want to
Mhm.
do in your business and next engagements or what have you. So I would say there's always a challenge, right? I mean, there's many challenges.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of a mindset once you have gotten into what it is to be in the unknown all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the joke of all of this, is that it's always unknown. Even this young lady who wrote to you about, being in this job for 11 years and then leaving after 5 or whatever the numbers were, leaving after 5 years. There is no job security. That's the illusion.
That's
Whether
right.
you have a job, whether you have, whatever, there are challenges wherever you are. You're the one navigating your career, navigating everything that you're doing about who you want to be and what you want to create.
Mhm. I see so many people will reach out to me. They want to become an entrepreneur. They want to start their own business, and they have all these glossy kind of visions of how this thing is going to work out. And I said, here's a reality check. Think of college, getting that degree, walking off that stage. You're going to do all these great things, and you think of what the difference between those two as to where you are now. Crooks, turns, left, rights, detours, all these things are going to happen. And I think lots of times with social media, we show this and the sort of vision of it and doing all these. I want to do that, but they never show you the stairs that you have to take.
They don't. They don't. It's funny. My daughter's a writer and she writes plays and TV. And we went to this wonderful talk with Ava DuVray, who's just fabulous, right?
Mhm.
She's a beautiful human being. She's done incredible work, very creative. And she was in a talk and she had to talk quickly. So I don't blame her for this at all. But she spoke about that she went from being a publicist into making movies, right? So she started as a publicist.
Mhm.
And then she was like on the set with a lot of her clients and what have you, and then started making movies. So what I was intrigued about, and this was not what the talk was about. So obviously she's not going to go into that. But what I was intrigued about was, hey, wait. How did you go from being a publicist to making movies? I need those stairs. I need to understand what happened. Yeah, I don't, what happened there?
Yeah.
So, there's a whole world sometimes that we don't hear about, even with Martha and her trajectory,
Ah,
and what she created and all of that. And, when she started that whole publishing world, exactly. When she started that publishing world, it was so cutting edge. You know, it was so cutting edge. And then where did she come from? And it started in catering, and, you know, she had a whole trajectory.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is an interesting process. And boy, you have to trust yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and trust the process. And again, those are such cliche words, but you've got to define what that is for you.
Yeah. Everyone has that itch. I say scratch it. Try something on the side while you're still getting the check, and try something regardless of what it is. I knew coming up as a kid, I knew I was going to eventually I didn't know the word entrepreneur, what that was even about. I knew that I was on the business, because my father owned a taxi company. And I noticed that he wasn't stressed out. He enjoyed what he did. He made good money doing what he was doing. And I said, you know what? I don't want it in the taxi business. This is what I told him before he died. I said, Uber would have killed you. But when thinking of that, I said, I knew this is what I wanted. And I had to figure out a way. So every job I had, I was looking for an angle. I was in the eyeglass business, selling eyeglasses for a major company. And then I heard about someone was selling the styles that were no longer styles and closeouts. And I went in and bought 10,000 frames for $1.
Wow.
For $1, scraped the money together to do that. And I flipped around and I quit the job and I put all those in my basement. And I went out and started selling the same thing I was doing before. Didn't work out because I could not find another warehouse to do that. But I kept trying something.
That's so great.
Yeah, try, it doesn't work, and you figure out.
Spirit is kind of moving into all those realms. Yeah.
Trying to move.
The generation of your father and my parents as well. Yeah. Such a beautiful generation. You know, really beautiful. They worked hard. They were pretty free, right? Who cares? Cabs, whatever. Who cares what the avenue was?
Yeah.
You know, good for him.
And you know, he set kind of a model, and he didn't know he was setting a model, and he and I had that talk later in life as he was sick and whatnot, and he didn't really understand the impact of that. He said, well, that's all I knew. I didn't finish school, and I had to figure out something to do when I came back from World War II. And that was an easy business. He didn't do the research, the analysis, and all those kind of because what you got to do that with World Book Encyclopedia? There's no
exactly. You're gonna write a whole investor deck and tell me about the rate of return, and no,
can't do that.
Just got busy.
See the pen. So as you've gone through this, what is your leadership philosophy like, and how do you coach leaders? You've worked at all these major firms. You've seen all of the heartache. You've seen all of the situations they've been in. How do you coach people today? The clients, they're struggling.
Yeah. So, that's a big question. So I'm going to see if I can make it simple, because I've worked in every industry, and truly the patterns are the same. Right. And so when I do a lot of customized offsites and things like that. And like, for example, I just came back yesterday. I was doing a project with HP. I do a deep dive into the company to understand what is their mandate, what are they working on, what is the year about, what do the numbers look like, and then the individual players and, CEO or director at that time and the team and what's happening with the team. And I would say that like one of the major things is really ineffective communication. And I know, again, that sounds so simple, but it's really not. Because every day and every moment you are communicating, whether you're writing, whether you're in a meeting, whether you're external relationships, internal relationships, and every single one of those, if you can bring some real clarity to it, how do you listen? How do you speak? Do you speak in a way someone can hear you? Do you walk away really getting what they're talking about? Is the plan of action when you're working with your team, is everyone really on the same page? Or do I have like a bunch of camps in the room, like annoyed with each other that no one's dealing with? And you're like, okay, hope it turns out. So there's a lot that I have seen that is just human beings working together. Even if the vision and the company is extraordinary, if you don't deal with that friction, right, right? Or what could uncover the real possibilities, right? It's just there will always be a cap on what's possible.
Yeah.
And then along with that, I do a lot of strategic work. And what does that even mean? What that means is that I break down all these OKRs and, and KPIs and all that stuff.
Yes.
It just becomes like a bunch of words at some point. It's just like, what is all this words? I'm being honest, right? I mean, I've talked with, I'm talking about like some of the top CEOs in the world, and it's a lot of words. And I'm like, listen, let's boil this down. Like, what is it that we're going to accomplish at the end of the year? What are 3 to 5 things? How do we break it down? Who's going to do what? Or who's going to be accountable for what? Are the expectations clear? Are you communicating clearly? What's the structure that you've set up? And by the way, have you set the tone for your leadership? And what I mean by that is, have you communicated to your team, your people, your company, in a town hall, whatever it is, depending on if you're the chairman and CEO, have you communicated who you are, your style, what you're out for? And look, that could be very vulnerable at times, but if you say to people, I mean, I've got leaders who are extremely fast, brilliant. Well, guess what? It occurs like they're harsh sometimes.
Yes.
Okay. And that they don't have any patience and they don't want to listen. And when they walk by you, they don't really look at you. Well, guess what? It's not personal. So if they set the tone, they're like, listen, here's my style. I'm very fast, right? It's not that I'm being impatient with you, is that I think in bullet points. When you come to me, please come to me in bullet points. If you need me to listen and have a long conversation, tell me, I want to have a long conversation. Is this a good time or should we set time? If you interact with me that way, my brain will work better. That's how my brain works. That's who I am. But that doesn't mean I can't give you what you need. So that's part of setting the tone. And a lot of people don't do that. There's a lot of like, I hope they mind read me.
Yeah.
Oh my God, stop it. No one's reading your mind.
Yeah, they may not want to pick some of the thoughts you're thinking as you're listening to them.
Yeah, you want to keep those. You want to get those thoughts in check, please.
Yeah, that's kind of locked away. A major credit card company out of UAE, I won't call it who it was, they called me and they wanted me to do. They wanted to do a leadership offsite, and I said, based on what? And as I went through the same process you went through, and they kind of gave me the parameters of it. And I said, okay, fine. Who can I speak to beyond you? I need to get better insights and all those things. And I said, because doing a leadership offsite, where we just sit around a campfire and say, rah, 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 and everybody's sucking hand. I said, it's going to still pop up again in a week or 2 weeks or whatever it was. But they did not let me get past the head of learning and development to get to the CEO, his C-suite and all of that. I said,
which is like just a waste. Like, don't waste your time, energy, and money because you're not open to actually shift, transform, open it up. You're going to be stuck in your same patterns.
Where did that come from? That diagnostic approach? Mine came from asking questions, and I will ask you 1,001 questions because I want. It's the same as a doctor. Your doctor says, "Why does it hurt here? When did it happen?" and all those things. Where did that kind of come from? Was that through your journey through corporate, and when you pulled out?
Honestly, it truly is who I am. I'm incredibly curious.
Okay.
And I also really am curious about people. I'm kind of amazed that I never tire of their stories. It's fun. It's funny. You're like, oh my God, I'm still not tired of this. Okay, good. So I find people's stories very interesting. And I also just love when people get very real about it, where there's no, I know you can't use there's no junk. So I'll say there's no junk in the way. So I think it's part of my personality that I'm very curious. I also want to get to the bottom of the truth. And so to me, it's like very annoying to stay really superficial. And so when I see various leaders and companies stay on this level of like, okay, we need to be transparent. We need to I don't even know. Do you even know what you're saying? And I'm not trying to be, I'm not judging. I'm not trying to even be mean. I'm trying to say, with that kind of language and thinking and superficiality, you're never going to get to really what it's like to tap into the amazing talent that you could around you, even with people's flaws. So I think for me, it's like, I'm not interested in being in a superficial environment. Right. It just is not interesting to me. So when I'm doing an offsite, we're doing real work and I'm giving them real tools and they're walking away with a real strategic roadmap that they can implement and literally use when they walk out the door, like ready, go.
Exactly.
And it's fun. It's like, okay, this is actually fun because we're creating something and we're creating a game that's worth playing, as opposed to, oh my God, let me try and live through 5 years of not ripping my head off or anybody else's. Because that's the reality of what's going on out there.
Exactly.
People are containing all their stuff.
And it's just sitting there and it's bubbling up and bubbling. At some point in time, it's going to go here. I had a project in Thailand. The company was in Singapore, but we did this offsite in Thailand.
Yeah.
And it was the end of the day. We had a great time and we really dug down. People were uncomfortable to be comfortable.
Yes.
And as I was leaving, the CEO was coming in and he came and pulled me aside. New CEO had just taken the role and brought me in to kind of clear everything up. And he says, "Thank you. I could not have done this without you. You have no idea what that meant from 2 days of working." And they go out for dinner. And I'm making the room, tweaking this, tweaking that to come back the next day to make it more powerful and doing all these things. And he said that, and it was like, you know what? I said to myself, you know what? I can just go outside and do this. I can fly back to Dubai because I was on a high. And it was,
I really get that. I really do get that.
Yeah.
Because you've opened up something and there's so much freedom there. And you're witness to the freedom.
Yeah. As that goes.
No,
so,
go ahead.
Is that where the BeClear method comes from? Because I'm kind of understanding BeClear. You say big words, but let's be clear about it.
Yeah, let's. Right. So, I mean, I think that what was going on over many years is, as I said, I saw a lot of patterns and I was experiencing all these things with all these different industries and leaders and challenges and mergers and one CEO succession to another and realigning teams and realigning boards and designing these offsites to really like blow open what was possible. So I took all these patterns and I started to see, oh, there actually is a process methodology, not a formula, but there is a methodology. And then what I've been doing, in addition to the consulting, is we've been building the short version is a leadership development platform.
Okay.
So it's taking all the methodology in a digital experience, utilizing AI so that we can actually give all these tools to people in a digital experience to companies around the world. So that has been quite another amazing project and evolution and a lot of learning and really interesting. So yeah. And so it's been fun to take the methodology and translate it.
Yeah. One of the things I always kind of, when the day's over and you're leaving, you're going back to the airport or whatever, I'm thinking through what I learned from this session. And I always kind of captured, I learned this and I learned this. Oh, this was a good concept. Can I tweak that and use that? So at the end of the day, people talk about, I have them go through what did they learn from, what is Monday morning going to look like? So we do the Monday morning exercise. You've been here for X amount of days. What is Monday going to look like? And they talk to that. Well, I have a Monday morning because I said, well, what did I learn from 2 days of this interesting story here, and how am I going to take that forward? So I say that to say, these so-called leaders need to realize you can learn from the person who's the lowest level of inside of an organization. That's a learning opportunity.
Completely. But that's self-awareness on your part to be able to take that and integrate it for yourself, because you're right. I've learned like a million things from a million different people.
Yeah.
Honestly, and also that becomes, I don't know, it actually expands your awareness.
As you have gone through and you're kind of at a stage now, what's next? Am I still going to continue? Because it's still enriching. I enjoy what I do.
I mean, I really love the customized offsites because they are so targeted and they make such a big difference in a short amount of time. I love that. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. But that is a whole process. It is not just a day, 2 days, 3 days. There's pre-work, there's post-work. So it's more of a project. So I love that. But that also feeds, when you say what's next, to answer your question, it also feeds the platform that we're launching. So we're working with a few enterprises to use that. And our goal is to really get this out in the world and have people using it. And, you talk about challenges. Well, when I started developing this platform, no one even was thinking about that. Now there's like coaching marketplaces and there's AI coaching and there's all these realms, and people are really trying to crack the code on what is needed, right? Which is great. But as far as what we're feeling is we have an expertise and we're taking the expertise, utilizing AI with the expertise. To me, that's really interesting. So when people are interacting with the platform, this is all inside of what's next. When people are interacting with the platform, to me, that's like exciting because you can see what they're saying. You can infuse things in the moment. You can create a whole new experience that they can use something in real time. It's never going to replace a person. But guess what? People are behind this. Right? People are behind this, watching it, infusing it, iterating it, giving it like the best content you could to serve it up so people have it in their hand in the moment. And sometimes that's needed. You can't have a coach on your shoulder every 2 seconds. Sometimes you got to integrate some of this stuff and really coach yourself to clarity.
You own a piece of this yourself, in looking at that. So, you've kind of walked us through a kind of a masterclass. I want to just read some of the comments here. Peter Piccinini, who listens in every time we log in on Friday morning, he says, great way to start the weekend. So he's a Friday morning person who's here every Friday. But Peter started on Broadway in New York, managing plays, the theater, and all of this. Peter. And now he's in wealth management. He manages money for wealthy people.
Love it.
Yeah. So it always goes to Gary Bland. Gary, I know I owe you to follow up. Gary, he says, good morning from Atlanta. My good friend, John Self, started in as a news reporter to career development. And now he is into coaching and all those kind of amazing career. And now we also have greetings from Burrell Worldwide, Beverly Hills, Denise Burrell. Denise Burrell, who's listening from Lincoln. So thank you so much for listening in on our show. So Gary said, this episode is truly a nugget. I can totally identify. It is important to find out what we do naturally. And I wanted to, there was one came in from Anise Reed. She says, sounds like my journey. So we've all,
and also I can hear with all the people that are listening. And I think this is really, really common that, and, I have 2 kids who are just graduated from college or about to graduate, what my son is, there is no straight line here in people's careers, and I teach a class at UCLA called Creating Life After College on Your Terms. And it basically is giving these kids, a lot of what we've experienced in the BeClear Method to actually how they navigate their careers, their relationship, their personal brands. Could be super smart coming out of college, but how do you do that? Yeah. And, there is no straight line. So here's Gary being in theater, which is an extraordinary experience.
That was Peter, yeah.
But what is he really, really amazing or gifted at that now has him parlay that into whatever else he's going to do?
Yeah. There's no straight line. So you mentioned I teach at a university. I just finished my course last week, I think it was.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, American University in Dubai. And every year I go there and I do 2 days of work. But I talk through, there's no straight line. Forget about it. let's talk through how do we navigate that.
Forget about that.
Forget about it. It's not going to happen. So read the signals. You know, I was always been the type person. I was use the term read the room. I go into a room. I'm looking at who's talking, who's not talking, who's the key person in this room. Title has nothing to do with it. And when you look at those kind of situations and you say, you know, well, I'm here now, I've got this degree. Someone says, well, I have an MBA, X amount of 4.0 average. That's it.
Nobody cares.
And nobody cares.
Nobody cares. But you know what? That's very wise. You're so wise, because, you know, a lot of these leaders, and I've, again, you know, Harvard, Stanford, I don't care. It truly, I mean, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, I honor all those accomplishments and they're very beautiful. But if you think that's translating into your emotional intelligence, it doesn't always.
It doesn't. My father, I told my father, I said, I went to school, my degree was in business. I said, but you know what? I learned more from you when you came in after work and you're talking through stories and you're talking about this situation happened. And I said, I was like a sponge.
Amazing.
And my degree came from you. This was just a structure to get the paper.
What a beautiful experience you had. I mean, can you imagine the conversations that he would have with people? I mean, like, when I was, this is very simple, but you get this as a New Yorker. You know, I was on a plane. I was in this project to Houston, and I got in the cab, and there was this lovely man driving me to the headquarters. And I said to him, where are you originally from? And he was a little hesitant. You know, in this day and age, everyone is a little bit careful. And he said, I'm from Africa. And so I said, oh, I've been to Africa. And so several times. And so we had this whole conversation and just talked about his life and how he got to Houston. And, you know, and so by the time he got out of the cab after an hour, and that's a very New York experience, it just was like, there was this beautiful, real interaction. And can you imagine how many of those your dad had?
Exactly. So we had a gentleman on a while ago from Dubai, college professor, big shot in corporate, and he just decided he wanted to drive taxi, and he talked him into letting him drive taxi, and he drove taxi in Dubai, went through the process of learning the streets and all this kind of thing.
Right.
And he talked about the learnings from talking to people. And he found out a lot of his co-workers were in Dubai. They were driving taxis, but they were engineers. Mm-hmm. And the learnings of people sitting around talking and all those things. And this is why I said, just listen sometimes, because when you listen, you learn. And his stories were just phenomenal. And there was a big spread in all of the papers, and I had him on the show and he was walking through this. But I say that as a learning point. He said the lessons he learned from that was empowered anything that he learned, even working towards his so-called PhD and getting all those things.
No, I mean, I could not. I just so appreciate that. I think listening is very, very underestimated. Mm-hmm. And, you know, part of what I do when I'm working with a lot of these leaders is we really break down listening. And I'm, you know, because I had done some conflict resolution work in Ireland with Protestants and Catholics, once you've been in a room, this is with a group, once you've been in a room with people that have killed each other, you're like, I don't care. Give me the heads of Google. I mean, come on. Right. But in that process, they truly had to hear each other, even if they disagreed. Could they even understand what the person was saying? You gotta get deep and like get your own shit, out of the way.
It's okay.
Sorry, everybody. To be able to hear another person, get your opinion on hold for 2 seconds to just say, what are they saying? Mm-hmm. And so that is a very deep process.
Yeah.
Right. It's not to be underestimated, but what you can learn about yourself and where to go. And, you know, you talked about what's my leadership style. You slow down a little bit, which seems counteractive in the moment, mm-hmm. to listen. I promise you it'll save you time, energy, and money.
Going forward. It will do that. We're coming up on time. You mentioned conflict resolution because I wanted to get into that, but the conversation was so interesting. How did that come about? Conflict resolution in Ireland, and you know,
There was an amazing group called the Mastery Group that worked with a variety of the religious leaders, because they're the leaders that run Ireland, like
Mm-hmm.
the bishops and what have you. And so I was able to go with that mastery group, and they pulled, it's so deep. They pulled various people from neighborhoods, Protestants and Catholics, and put them together. Bishop from here, the head of the IRA here. I mean, it gives me chills just even thinking about it. And we were in a room for a week. And, one of the things we started out with was, could you hear each other's story? And we put them through this whole process. And what they found, the short version, I know we're ending, what they found was they were really having the same issues.
Mm-hmm.
They were the same. They were exactly the same.
Yeah.
And so in the end, they partnered and went back into those communities, which blew off the heads of the people in those communities, because these leaders had taught them to hate each other.
That's exactly. Yeah.
So how profound
Yeah.
that they truly came to a point where they could work together and partner and go back in there. So that's how that happened. That's a long way to say how that happened.
Okay, cool. I know we're running up on time, but I want to ask you this. When you look back on your journey, what are you most proud of?
I would say that I feel really blessed that I can speak to anyone and really hear them, and that they hear me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel very blessed and free that I can communicate at that level to anyone at any time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing I would say, and it's not business, but I gave birth to both my kids at home. And so that is not for everybody, but I'm very proud of that. And that was the right choice for me. So there you go.
Oh, wow. Yeah. My next door neighbor just had a little girl a few days ago. And I said, you know what? I said, I could never go through that. Even the thought of going through, no, I could never go through that. But I said, anyway, that's
a whole other conversation.
That's a whole other conversation that we get into. So
it's the mind-body connection, my friend. It's the mind-body. So anyway.
So one of the goals of the show is to talk about careers, to talk about the journey. No stairs. Forget about the stairs, because it doesn't work that way. And I want to thank you for giving us kind of a master class in how it's done, from starting where you started from, and you were able to parlay that, and you're kind of, I'm going to say, living your dream. I put that in quotes because that can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, but you're doing what you want to do. And I think a lot of people struggle because they want to live that dream, but it's not as cool as you think it is. But I mean, I don't mind getting up and opening up email. I enjoy coming in and doing work and those kind of things. So what would you like to leave the audience with as you walked us through all of this?
Well, first of all, you're so gracious and wise, and I just appreciate you creating this show where people can really, learn for just a little bit, and hopefully they could take it away and integrate something for themselves. It's not just listening to this. What could they take for themselves that they could use and go forth and do? I just think there's no major one nugget. I would just say that, please just take very good care of yourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how else to say that, but that's the root of everything. That take very good care of yourselves, and from there will be clarity. And I don't know. For me, it's about being freed up, about freedom. I know you know. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about, and I know Dave's going to shoot me because I know it's time. I see online and social media, sometimes I say is the worst thing that could have ever happened. 3 steps, do this and you'll be successful. 5 steps, do this. And I'm like, dude, stop saying this, because stop saying that, because it's not like that. Everyone is going to have to interact.
It isn't. Just think it and have it. Stop it. Just stop it. I know. God bless. I know.
Denise, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And everyone is listening in. Denise is in California. What time is it there now?
Oh, it's like 6:50 in the morning, almost 7 a.m.
Thank you so much for.
Oh, pleasure. I've had my coffee. I'm good to go.
You're good to go. I have my coffee too. It's cold now, but it's still cool. So I need you to hang on as we close out. For everyone that's listening, I want to thank you for always listening in. Share, subscribe to the channel. We're growing, and we want more people to understand that this show talks through an angle that you're probably not going to hear, because we don't give you 3 steps to be successful, 5 steps, and you're going to be the ruler of the world. It doesn't work that way. And we kind of explore all of that. So thank you so much. Hang on as we close out.
I just want to quickly say, I want to thank you to our friend Heidi Diamond, who introduced us.
Heidi, yes.
I know. So I want a little shout out to her. So thank you. Ron, you're a pleasure, truly. Thank you, everyone.
Heidi is in our publishing circle, was the head of TV at Martha Stewart, very, very dear friend of mine. And she's been in Saudi Arabia, and she's working on some deals there, and everything is cool. So hang on.
No problem.
Take the CEO series with you anywhere, anytime. All episodes are now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and major streaming platforms. It's not just an interview. It's a masterclass in leadership.